Greetings, this is Jim Lindsay. This is a CIS320 orientation video. Welcome to the class, welcome to this movie. What it will consist of is basically all this stuff that you would get on the first day of a normal face-to-face class. And so we'll be talking primarily about the syllabus and the calendar, and we'll also be talking about the Blackboard website. So let's get started. What you see in front of you is the welcome screen for the Blackboard website. I thought this was an appropriate picture for us for the beginning. Looks like somewhere out, in the west, where there's a lot of flat ground going up to the mountains and these really long straight roads. So that's where we are. We're on the beginning of a 2-month journey here, an 8-week journey, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. Let's look at the syllabus in detail, and you should have a hard copy of that. I've emailed that to you. If you don't have it, you can go to the Blackboard website, and you'll see over here at the Blackboard website there's a page for the syllabus and class calendar. You could download it from there, and I recommend that you have it in front of you, be flipping through it, or at least have it open and going through it as we talk about this, so you can identify areas where you may have questions. Here's the document. It is it's a multi-page Word document. We're going to work through all these sections. This should take about the same amount of time that a regular class period would take. So, if you need to, get a cup of coffee and sort of settle in. The purpose of this course is to teach you multiple different applications that we don't cover anywhere else. In that regard, it's sort of a miscellaneous class. We cover here things that we would like to cover for our CIS minors that don't get covered elsewhere, and we also talk about social media for business people, and so that's where we'll be spending our time. We're going to look at specifically LinkedIn in detail. We'll also be looking at Twitter in detail. We'll be looking at Hootsuite, which is a really cool website. I think you're going to like it a lot. With Hootsuite, you can manage multiple social network accounts from Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, etc. You can, from this one interface, you can take care of all those accounts very easily. So we'll spend time with both of those. We are going to also learn about drawing software, which I think you will enjoy, and we'll learn about desktop publishing along with overarching design principles for the desktop publishing that I think you'll find helpful through the rest of your your careers as you work, anytime that you have to come up with something creative. So that's our goal. My contact information is located right here. My office is in Grice Hall, but it's summertime and I will not be there. If you need to reach me, please send me an email at that address right there, or call me on my cell phone, that number right there. If you get my voicemail, just leave a message. Tell me who you are, what class you're in, because I'm teaching 2 classes this summer, and tell me when I can call you back and the phone number where you'll be available. If you would give me a couple of options for when you're going to be available, and that's how I will be available this summer. All right, let's talk about required equipment and books and all that sort of stuff. This is under the required materials. We are going to use software that only works on a Microsoft Windows computer. So as such, you have to have a Microsoft Windows computer available to you, that you can get to anytime that you want. Also, you have to have administrative privileges on that machine. So I know that can cause a problem. More and more students are coming to Western with Apple computers, which are great machines. And unfortunately, the software that we use just doesn't work with a Mac. And I've tried to teach this class in a platform agnostic fashion where we had all sorts of different programs and different things we did, and it was terrible. I found the best way to teach this class is to have a single platform and go from it. And I know that poses some significant challenges for Apple users, but that's where we are. So you have to have a Windows computer on which you can have, the privileges that allow you to install software, because you will be installing software. If you don't have a computer, and you are in a town which is real close to a Western location, you can go to the computer labs. Everything you need for this class is installed on the WKU computer lab machines. I realize that's not going to be an option for some of you. So if you have an Apple computer and you live somewhere where you're not close to a campus, you may want to drop this course immediately, get your money back, because you're going to need those things. If you stay in the class, you need to have that type of machine, a Microsoft Windows computer that you can get to, and that you have the abilities to, that you have the privileges to install software. What software will we use? Well, we're going to use Microsoft Publisher. We're going to use Microsoft Visio. Fortunately, we can get those for free. You are paying technology fees to access different software servers so that we can get those to you without more cost. But you do have to have the Microsoft Windows machine. Now, if you have an Apple computer, like it mentions up here, if you have an Apple computer and you want to use something like Parallels or Boot Camp, those are an option for you. I can't walk you through that process. I don't have a Mac, and I don't have the equipment to create tutorials for you, for a Mac. But what Parallels is, what Boot Camp is, those are programs which allow you to run the Windows operating system on a Windows computer. I had an iMac, a 2008 iMac that finally died about 3 months ago, and I ran Boot Camp on it for a long time. And when you start the machine, you were prompted saying, hey, do you want to go to Windows or do you want to go to the Apple Mac OS? And then you got to choose. And then if you use the Windows side, it would open up, and you then installed Windows on it, on that Windows side of it. But that's not easy. If you're not especially proficient with computers, running Boot Camp, running Parallels may be a really significant challenge. And so, again, you might be better served to just wait till the fall when you can take this class, when you have computer labs available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and you can just use WKU's computers. So that's where we stand with hardware and software. As far as the textbooks go, we have 2 textbooks, and they are the following: the Non-Designer's Design Book and the Microsoft Visio 2013 Step-by-Step. This book is green, and I've provided links to you for Amazon if you'd like to get those books from Amazon.com. They're a little bit cheaper if you get them from Amazon.com versus the WKU store. They're good books. This one in particular, the Non-Designer Design Book, this may be the best book I've ever picked as a teacher. I love that book. And when we get to that portion of the class, I hope that you'll also agree that it's a very helpful book, just talking about all these different design principles and font faces and colors and how those can be used effectively. And what we'll do is we'll learn about those using this book at the sort of the real high level, and then we'll use different software programs like Microsoft Publisher, and then another one, an open source desktop publishing program called Scribus, to actually create documents that incorporate all these different principles that you're learning about from that book. So it's a really fun part of the class. Visio is a drawing program, and in a second my dogs are going to bark. I can tell there's somebody driving up in our driveway, so if the dogs go crazy, don't let that make you jump. The Visio is a drawing program. It's a vector-based drawing program, and it's incorporated into the Office suite. It works well with the Office suite, but it doesn't come with Office when you buy it straight. You have to get it extra, and I'm going to show you where to get that from in another lesson. So that's what Visio is, and then we're going to learn how to draw all sorts of things, from logos to maps to organization charts to flow charts to computer network diagrams, all kinds of really cool stuff. And so that's what we'll be doing with these textbooks. And so again, you can get them from the WKU store if you like, or you can get those online and you can rent those, or you can buy those. You do not need a new copy at all. These are older books. In fact, these are generation back. One reason I keep these older books is that they're cheaper, and so you should be able to come out of both books for pretty inexpensively. If you have questions, let me know. Last couple of items that you need here. You need a USB flash drive. It's a thumb drive, and it needs to have at least 1 gigabyte of free space on it. And that can be a flash drive that you currently own, that you've used for other classes or that you use for other stuff. It doesn't matter to me, as long as you have at least 1 gigabyte free on a flash drive that you can use. That's all. That's all I require. We're going to install something called portable apps on that thumb drive. And what happens is you put that thumb drive into your computer, you open up portable apps, and you start to run software completely from memory. And so you never have to actually install anything to the machine. It all runs straight out of memory off of this USB flash drive. So it's a pretty helpful way to run software sometimes. So that's one of the desktop publishing programs we'll use operates that way. And the reason we use that one is that you can create Adobe PDF forms that you can fill out, and it's the only program I know that you can do that allows you to do that for free. And so, pretty cool process. We'll be learning about that. As far as internet access goes, you will be watching several tutorials, lectures, all sorts of web material that requires a quick connection. And so if you have dial-up, that's not going to cut it. So if you have a dial-up internet connection, I recommend you drop the course, and then again take this during the semester when you can go to a face-to-face class. If you have cable or DSL or satellite, one of those forms of internet access, then you should be in good shape. So that's why I put this in there. You're going to be watching so much video that dial-up you'll just basically go crazy. And also downloading these programs, the installation programs for the software we want, they're really big packages, and so if you don't have that broadband connection, you'll spend a tremendous amount of time and you'll get very frustrated. All right, let's talk about your personal computer. Basically, as you read this, what it says is that if it starts to malfunction or give you problems, you're responsible for getting it working. I can give you tips as much as I can give you tips, sort of, but computers are so there are so many students and there are so many different configurations and types of machines that we don't even try to support the students' computers. So what I would request of you is, as this class begins, make sure that you have antivirus software installed. Make sure that you have your data backed up as you work on stuff. Save a copy of your work from if you're saving it on your local computer. In addition to that, save one to like your Google Drive or SkyDrive or Dropbox. Keep copies elsewhere. So in the event that your computer has a problem, you'll have backups of it, and you can go to a library or go to a computer lab and not be at a disadvantage. So count on Murphy's Law says that if something can break, it will break. So operate with that as in mind, and make sure that you've got backups to fall back to if you have any kind of problem. All right, class meetings. We never meet face to face. This is completely and totally online. It's been a while since I've taught an online course, but I've taught them for 10 years. We had a program called Computer Information Technology, CIT, which was completely online. So I've done it a lot. I just haven't done it recently. But that's what this is. And so if you need to reach me, as I mentioned before, email me or call me, leave me a message so I can call you back. I think these kinds of classes are much harder than face-to-face. And I think they're really beneficial and they're convenient, especially if you have a job or if you have a family and you have things that you have to do, especially during the daytime. Online classes are wonderful because they're convenient, but man, they are tough because you have to make yourself sit down and listen to a lecture, make yourself do homework, whereas if you're in a face-to-face class, you show up at the class and then there are your peers present, there's your teacher present, and they can sort of push you and help facilitate the whole process in person. You don't get that with an online class, and so this style of class may not work for you. And if that's the case, that's fine. But get out of the class and take it when during the semester in a face-to-face classroom where you can thrive. I want you to be happy with the outcome of this course, and you need to really think about whether online is going to be the best way to do that. But get yourself a calendar and your day timer, your calendar on your phone, your calendar on your computer. However you want to do that, that's up to you. But put all these assignments and lectures and everything else into your calendar so that you know what you're supposed to do and when you're supposed to do it. And then once you've made that plan, work really hard to stick with it. So that's information about our class meetings. Let's next talk about our standards of conduct. Okay, please read this section of the syllabus, especially as it pertains to the discussion board. As you look through here, essentially what this is saying is you need to be a responsible and polite person. When you're in this online environment, treat people the same way as you would if you were in a face-to-face encounter. It's really easy to do things and say things in an online environment that are probably out of character for you in person. You can say things and be rude. That if you were face-to-face, you probably wouldn't say things because somebody would might punch you in the face or something. Unfortunately, it's just that happens, and so I put this into the syllabus to remind you, hey, this is a class. Please be respectful of one another. By all means, you can disagree with people. You can have arguments. You can state your opinion. You can play the devil's advocate. That's great. That's a lot of fun to do that, but you just have to do so respectfully. And so as you read through this portion of the syllabus, please keep that in mind, and the reason I'm bringing it up. I mentioned this. There's a tutorial I've already made for the discussion board. And this has happened in the past, and the reason I bring it up is because it has happened. I've had students that have gone out with their friends, and partied and had a good time, and then come back and realized, oh man, I've got discussion board stuff I forgot to do. Then they get on the computer half drunk or drunk, and then they start putting stuff on the discussion board that they would not say in person or if they were in their right mind. Unfortunately, especially with that discussion board, you can't take it back. Once you post it, it's there. And so, be aware of your state of mind as you interact with everybody in the class, and behave accordingly. And as you scroll on down the page here, the next thing it talks about is basically academic dishonesty, which is cheating. Please don't cheat. As you read through here, what you'll find is the penalty for cheating on anything is failure of the class. And again, I'll say that just to emphasize it. If you cheat on anything, you will completely fail the course. It could be a 25-point assignment, and you cheat on it, and it's 25 points out of 1,000. But if you cheat on anything and I catch it and figure it out, you will fail. And it happens. In this class in particular, it's happened a lot, and it's unfortunate because, especially like when we have projects that we're working on, and I've gone to a model where I try to break it to where everybody's project is different than the next person's project because the cheating gets so rampant. And so to me, that as a teacher, that's really frustrating. I'd like to be able to write a really great one assignment, and have all sorts of really cool stuff in there and then give it out. But when I've done that, there's a big population at Western that will just have someone else do it, or they'll share, and it's been really frustrating. And so, and as a result of that frustration from all the teachers at Western in our department, we've gone to this very severe policy, whereas if you cheat, all right, you fail, period. And so please read over that. Let me know if you have any questions. Here are some examples of things that might be considered cheating. Having somebody else do something for you. That's cheating. When you copy somebody else's stuff and then you turn it in as your own, that's cheating. If you don't cite your sources, if you're putting things on this, posting ideas on a discussion board as your own ideas, but you actually got that from something you read, cite this. It's really easy, man. Just cite the source where I read this so-and-so webpage, give the link, and I heard about this idea. I'm not looking for like full-blown APA, MLA, or Chicago kind of style citations necessarily, but I want you acknowledging the fact that I got this idea from somebody else, and this is where I got it. And I happen to agree with it, I happen to disagree with it, etc. So that's that. If you have questions, contact me. But we feel really strongly about that. I feel really strongly about that, and I'd be happy to discuss it with you if you have questions. Okay, what are we going to do in this class? Well, we have multiple activities that we're going to do on a regular basis. You will be reading pretty frequently. You will be watching lecture and tutorial sorts of videos pretty frequently, pretty much every week. You will be participating in discussion board activities 4 times during the semester. It's an 8-week semester and have 4 weeks of discussion board. You'll see those on the calendar. You'll have many homework assignments. The way that you master these applications is by doing things. And so I'll give you lots of opportunities to create drawings and documents that we've already alluded to, and that's where your homework will come in. You'll also have a couple of different opportunities to create reflection papers, and these are written assignments where you will I'll ask you questions about primarily the social media sites that we are going to use, and I'll ask you to think about what was your experience with this? How is somebody in your field going to use this to do their job? What were the strengths of this particular website? What were the weaknesses? They involve some research, and so you will, again, that's where the citations come into play. You can talk about, hey, at the Hootsuite support files, I found this, this, and this, and they talked about how the website can be used to work with these social media sites, but not these others. And I'm going to go into this field where we use all these other ones, so Hootsuite's not going to be that effective for me, that sort of stuff. So those types of activities, readings, lectures, all the way through the reflection papers, we're going to do those on a pretty regular basis. Some of you may not be great writers, and that's okay if you're not a great writer. One of the benefits of being a student is that you get better at something. There are a couple of different resources available to you from campus that will help you with these writing assignments in particular. One of those is the research appointment with a personal librarian, and they'll help you from a distance. So even if you're in, say, Washington State or Oklahoma or Texas, and let's say that's where your family lives, so you've gone home for the summer, you can still set this thing up through the website down here, so that they'll help you online, or they'll basically get on the phone with you, and online they'll help you with these research and writing assignments. Likewise, there is a writing center, and the writing center is located on campus. During the semester, it's located, in the fall and spring semesters, it's located in Cherry Hall and also over at Cravens. And so with the summer, they've just moved everything to the library. And so this writing center, especially if English is a second language for you, really encourage you to take advantage of this, because when you turn in written assignments to me, I want them to be written well. Spelling and grammar errors are not acceptable, and even the wording, the way that you might say something in your native language, the wording and the order in which you put the verbs and the nouns and adjectives and things like that might be different than what we're used to in English. And so I'm going to grade everything like you're an American kid who's gone to school for 12 years, or at this point 13, 14 years, and you are a good writer. So this writing assistance this Writing Center for assistance, check it out. It's a good deal. There's the website for the Writing Center, and then there's their phone number as well. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about grading. Where do your grades come from? Well, they're going to come from these activities you see right here. You have a syllabus quiz, which I hope you will take as soon as this is over. As soon as you're done with this orientation, go and take that syllabus quiz. It's going to be when the material's the freshest in your memory, and I think you'll do really well with it. So take that syllabus quiz. In fact, you have to pass that syllabus quiz with a score of 100. You have to get 20 out of 20 on it in order for all the other material for the first week to show up. That's how important this is for you to be familiar with the syllabus. In addition to the syllabus quiz, there are 4 weeks of discussion board. You'll see each week is worth 20 points. So we have 100 points coming from that. We have 700 points worth of homework, 200 points worth of social media work between projects and reflection papers with LinkedIn and Twitter. You can amass 200 more points. Altogether, that gives you a total of 1,000 potential points. So if you scored 100% on every single thing that you did this semester, you would end up with 1,000 points. The grades you need to get an A, B, C, D, or F are shown right here, and this is a points-based class. This is not percentages. So if you got 899 points at the end of the semester, if that's what you've earned, you have a B. If you have 699 points at the end of the semester, that's a D. We're going off of points, not percentages. So, be aware of what your grades are, and be working to get good grades. The dates that you need to know about: June 15th is the deadline to drop this course with no grade at all and get a full refund. Essentially, that's Wednesday of the first week of class. And July 8th is the last day that you can drop this class with a W. And what that means is you withdraw from the course. There's no penalty to your GPA, whatsoever. The only drawback of a withdrawal, especially during a summer or a J term, is that you don't get any money back. So if you're taking like 5 or 6 classes during a regular semester and one's not, for whatever reason, one class is not working for you, if you withdraw from it, it's not a big deal. But the deadline to withdraw is July 8th, and I will try to remind you of that as we get closer to that withdrawal date. I will post your grades on the Blackboard gradebook, and once I've posted a grade, you will have 7 days to ask questions about it. And when I post a grade, I will post comments with it saying, here is your grade for the Visio logo project, and here are the reasons I made point deductions. And you are welcome to ask questions about that. You're welcome to call me. After 7 days, however, then your option to be asking questions and inquiring about it goes away. Between having 2 classes and as many students as I have, and as fast as we're going to move, I put that 7-day period of time in there as the review period. So let me know if you have questions within a week. I'll give you a moment to read that on your own there. As you can see, there is no extra credit, so get all the points that you can through the assignments. At the end of the semester, please don't ask for extra credit or nudging or bumping or anything like that of grades. When I look at your work, especially as we work on things like drawings and desktop published documents, a lot of it is subjective. And you have objective things and subjective things. An objective thing would be like a math problem. Did you get the problem right? If it's 2 plus 2, the answer is 4. It's very objective. In contrast to that, you have things that are subjective, like when you put a newsletter together, did you include the things I wanted you to include with the newsletter? Well, maybe, but on top of that, does it look good? Did you follow the design principles? Which design principles did you use well and which ones did you not use well? So to give you an idea of how I assign grades of A, B, C, D, etc. with assignments, I included this right here. Stuff that is A quality is basically perfect. It's something that I can take to somebody else and say, look at this. My student created this this newsletter, this brochure, this flyer, and it's a great example of everything that you're supposed to include in a flyer. If it's just satisfactory, that's a C. And so you have these different levels of quality, and of course I'm going to give you concrete things that I'm looking for as I give you assignments, and I'll have a rubric. Basically, that's a set of I'm looking for exactly these things in assignments from every single person. Grading this stuff takes forever, so I'll give you concrete feedback about what for any deductions I make for your work. But please read through this portion of the syllabus, because it talks about the criteria and the level, the quality of work that I'm looking for as I'm looking at your assignments. If you get an A on an assignment, it means that it's basically perfect. And so if what you turn in has some errors with it, it's probably going to be a grade C or B, and that speaks to that. This portion of the syllabus speaks to how I'm grading those. Okay, let's talk about the discussion board for just a moment. The discussion board is an online means for us to try and simulate discussion that we would have in a classroom. I like online classes because online classes allow us to has all the benefits we talked about, like if you're working or if you have a family or if you're really busy, online classes allow you to complete the work at a schedule that's convenient for you. But man, in an online class, you just don't get that interaction with classmates, with your peers. And so the discussion board is an attempt to recreate that online. It's not as good, in my opinion, and I've taught online for a really long time, and I've taught a lot of classes. So in my opinion, the online discussion board is not as good as a face-to-face discussion, but it's not terrible either. And we are going to complete 4 different discussion board activities. And so as you read through here about the discussion board, you can see that I want you to basically, as you participate in that discussion board, I want you to be adding something to our conversations. You have to make a substantive contribution. What does that mean? Well, you have to add something to it, and as you look in here at this section of the syllabus, it talks about your grade's going to be determined as follows. Are you talking about the things that we're reading about? Are you offering some sort of example of when this happened in the real world? Maybe you have a job, maybe you have a parent or a brother or sister that has a job, and you've seen this sort of thing talked about or actually done at work. Talk about that. We want you to be concise. We don't want you to, and I've already addressed this in some detail in the briefing specifically over the discussion board, so I won't hit that now. But these are things that I will be looking for in your discussion board participation. We don't want you to just log in there and say, I agree, because that's not helpful to anybody, and we don't care if you would agree. Why would you agree? What's from your background that makes you say that you would agree with whatever's being discussed? Give us some information. And so if you have questions about this, let me know. But this is a section of the syllabus discussing specifically how to do well with the discussion board. All right, we're doing well. The last page of the syllabus here is some stuff that we can just kind of rip through very quickly. Email. You have to have an email account. That's how I will communicate with you, and I will send emails to you through Blackboard. And so at Western's, the way Western's email system is set up, and the way TopNet and Blackboard are set up, you have what's called a preferred account, and unless you tell TopNet otherwise, the system thinks that your WKU email account is your primary account and that you check it all the time. So when I send an email to you through Blackboard, it's going to automatically go to that topper.wku.edu address. If you don't check that email address on a regular basis, what you need to do is log into TopNet and go to your email addresses and specify what is your preferred account, and to make sure that your emails are forwarding from the topper.wku.edu to wherever else you want it, like Gmail or Hotmail or Yahoo or whatever. And even after you've done that, monitor it for a little while. Be monitoring that WKU email address closely, because if I send something to you through Blackboard, I'm going to assume that you've received it. Already alluded to Blackboard quite a bit. You guys are juniors and seniors, so I assume that you are, quite frankly, probably really proficient with Blackboard. I'm going to show you the Blackboard site in just a moment, but with this level of class, with a 300 level class, people's familiarity with Blackboard is usually really good. If you don't feel comfortable with Blackboard, get in touch with me right away, because we need to make sure that you're using the site proficiently. Last 2 points. If you are a veteran or if you are a dependent of a veteran, there is a service on campus, the Veterans Resource Center, which you should check out. Really cool service. It's on campus, and it's over in Tate Page Hall. It's in room 410. Contact them. I'd say, hey, I'm a veteran. I'm a dependent of a veteran. I'm in the CIS320 class. Do you have any books available? Or I'm going to take this, and this in the fall. Are there any books available? Primarily textbooks are one of the services that you can get help with through that resource, and so you've earned that benefit through your service. So take advantage of it. So just try to include that in my syllabus, because I think that's it's a great resource, and I think that you guys have earned it. Lastly, anybody with a student disability accommodation form, please get that to me immediately, especially in an online class. I need to know of your requests, so we can, and when you send that to me, when you let me know about that, tell me how I can get back in touch with you, because we need to discuss that. So anybody with a SARC accommodation form, get in touch with me as soon as possible. So that is the syllabus. I'm going to go ahead and minimize that. And how are we doing for time? We're doing great. Next, what we're going to look at is the class calendar. We'll get through that fast. What you'll see as you look at the class calendar is that we have an 8-week class, and essentially I've broken the 8 weeks into 8 modules. And I was looking on, I got on Google and I was looking for famous groups of 8, and one of the things that popped up was the Justice League of America was a popular. So the American Justice League, it had a whole bunch of characters in it, but I thought you'd recognize some of these. Some of them might be kind of. I thought some of them were kind of weird, but like Aquaman and Batman and Flash. Those are ones I'm sure you've heard of. Martian Manhunter, maybe not. Superman, and so on. So each week is basically named after a superhero in the Justice League, and you'll see as you look at the schedule here, it tells you the dates in that module. It also tells you any quizzes or papers or homework assignments that will be due during that module. It talks about whether there's a discussion board or not for that module. And then lastly, it mentions the specific lessons that we'll complete during that module. And so for Aquaman, our first one, you're completing this orientation already. You're just about done with it. When you're done with that, take that syllabus quiz. That syllabus quiz is going to be available from Monday through Sunday, from the 13th through the 19th. It's worth the 20 points. To give you an incentive to get that done, what I've done on Blackboard basically is none of this other stuff, the Office 365, DreamSpark, Introduction to PIT, and this Visio, drawing tools. These are not going to show up unless you take that syllabus quiz and you get 100% on it. Unless you get 20 out of 20 on that syllabus quiz, and then these 4 guys will show up. I'll show you what that looks like on Blackboard in just a minute. over here at Batman, this is like your second week of class, and with the your first homework assignment is going to be due on that Sunday the 26th. And so essentially what my plan is each homework assignment for like the Batman project is going to be based on the stuff we covered the preceding week. And so during the week you'll be learning like this new stuff, but this assignment that you're completing that's due on that Sunday is going to require you to demonstrate mastery of skills learned in the first the preceding week. And so that's how I'm going to do the homework assignment. Each homework assignment will be worth so many points. Some will be worth more than others, but that's the process. And you'll also see, like, is there a discussion board that week? Yes, there is. And so your first discussion board activity will take place during the Batman week, and you'll see that on the discussion board. It will become available at 12 o'clock on Monday, 12 a.m. on Monday, and be available until 11:59 p.m. on that Sunday. And then you have to get all of that discussion board stuff done during that window. So that's how that works. And the rest of the schedule here is the same as what I've described for you. The only other thing I'll note in here, the LinkedIn and the Twitter training, you'll see, for example, that the LinkedIn training is going to take place, during the Martian Manhunter module. And then with that particular one, I'm actually going to make that project available to you during the Martian Manhunter module, because that's LinkedIn and Twitter stuff takes some time, and you have to interact with other people. And so we have about 15 people in this class. So what I want you to do is I want you to set up your LinkedIn profile, get it very complete, and then make connections with all of your classmates. And so in order to do all of that, that's going to take more than a week. That's going to take at least 2 weeks. And so the LinkedIn and the Twitter stuff spans over 2 modules. It starts in Martian Manhunter, and then it completes down here in Superman. With Twitter, it starts in the Wonder Woman module, and it completes and we complete it down here in Green Lantern. And so that's how those guys will work. So that's the calendar. If you have questions, please let me know. I tried to color code stuff so that you'd very clearly see when we're moving from one module to another module, and be able to keep track and write these things into your day timer or your calendar. Okay, lastly, let's move to the Blackboard site. It looks like this. This is the Blackboard site. I started here and will end here. When you come to my Blackboard site, you will automatically land right here on the announcement page. I think that's how I prefer to create the sites. This is a typical announcement, saying, hey, this is what's going on right now. And you're already doing this. You're already watching the orientation video, so you've got that out of the way. Good job. The next page of the site has my contact information. You can see that there's my phone number, there's my email address. We've already talked about all that. That's not me, but it's a guy that looks like me. So I put that out there for you. If you want the syllabus and the class calendar, there they are. This class calendar may change. It is a tentative calendar. If let's say there's a Blackboard outage for some reason, and if that's the case, then I can edit things and modify things as needed. So this calendar is tentative, and you'll see that change if need be. I don't anticipate that we'll need to change anything, but please, I reserve the right to do so. It's a tentative calendar, so if I have to update some stuff on a calendar, I will do so. Lessons, this is where you're going to spend much of your time. You'll see that there are folders. Now, as a class starts, you're probably not going to see all of these folders. I'll probably release some of this slowly. Probably going to be 1 or 2 weeks worth of stuff visible at a time. So some of this I'm not ready to release out to you guys yet. I'm filming this orientation before class begins, but by the end of the class, you'd have all 8 modules visible to you on this lessons page. What does a module look like? When you go into a module, you'll see that there are several different folders. In this case, if you compared what you're seeing on the lessons folder here to the class schedule, let me come up here to Aquaman. You'll see there's the orientation, Office 365, DreamSpark, Intro to PIT and Visio lessons. Well, guess what? When you look at the Blackboard site, those are those folders right there. And as you look at the class orientation session, that's what you're watching right now. So that's what that folder consists of. Let me go to one that's bigger. Let me go to like Office 365. In Office 365, there's the brief tutorial over that topic, and then here are links that are used during that lesson to help you complete what I want you to get done regarding Office 365. And so that's how this works. When you first open up the Blackboard site, you're not going to see these 4 folders. In order to get these 4 folders to be visible, what you're going to need to do is go to the syllabus and class calendar, the syllabus, quiz, and papers and homework page, and pass this syllabus quiz. And so we'll get to that in just a minute. Let me go back to lessons though. So that's that's what this page looks like. Your online lessons will be available to you from here. If you have questions, please contact me and I will answer your questions. Let's go down to the syllabus, quiz, papers, and homework page. What does it look like? Well, right now it looks like this, because during this first week of class, that's the only graded activity you need to complete. And this one's going to be available for all the way up until Sunday night, 11:59 on June 19th. Hopefully you get it done like on Monday. I'd love for everybody to be done with this by the end of June 13th. That'd be great. But that's where this thing is going to show up. As your homework assignments become available, I will have those show up down here as well. And so your Batman project, for example, as soon as Monday the 20th comes up, you'll see the Batman project show up right here, and it will be available from the June 20th until June 26th, which is the week of the Batman module. So that's how this page functions here. Discussion board. We can cover this very fast because I actually have an entire orientation video already made for this, but the discussion board page looks like this, and this is where you'll see your different discussion board forums. And here's the first one. It's already there for you. You guys can't see it because that's not actually going to show up until Monday the June 20th, but it's out there for you. So that's what the discussion board page looks like. Helpful hyperlinks. I think you'll like this page. From this page, you can access the Office 365 page for Western. You click on a link, it opens up another tab for you with that link. Here's one for the DreamSpark site, and we will talk about, you have lessons to tell you about these things in detail. When we get to the Visio work in week 2, you'll be making quite good use of this one right here. For example, when you look at this is a folder in my web space which has all of the files that, as you go through here and start working with the Visio program, these are different files that you may want to experiment with. And so I put all of that into my web space, and I'll teach you guys how to use your web space too. But this link is available to you on the helpful hyperlinks page of Blackboard. And lastly, you have tools and IT help desk. Those are just exactly what you see in every class. Like, for example, if you want to access your grade book, you access that through the tools. There's an email link in here, and so on. The IT help desk, because this is an online class, I typically remove this from my Blackboard sections, but because this is an online class, I left it in. So if you're having trouble with your computer, you can access the website for the IT division right there. So that is the Blackboard site. And we have covered the syllabus, the calendar, and the Blackboard site. Again, these are the things that we would have talked about in person on the first day of class. I hope that this information has been informative and helpful, and if you have questions, please contact me, and I look forward to working with you this semester. Thanks for your attention.